So, good evening, everyone. My name is Lasya, and I'm here as a student ambassador for Alumni Affairs at SRM University AP. I would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone for making up time to attend this session. Let me now invite our faculty in charge of Alumni Affairs, Dr. Shravani Basu, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good
Now,
evening. Good
I'd
evening,
like
Lasya.
I'd like to invite our alumnus, Ms. Ramya Gumadavali from the class of 2021, BTech in Computer Science and Engineering with specialization in Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning, to share her experiences with us. She has been working as a software development engineer at Avidas Labs for more than a year, where she works in a team that develops mobile apps for airlines. She's a technophile who loves to solve real world problems with cutting edge technology. This interest made her to work on projects that are related to agriculture, wastewater management using ML, and these projects were selected as top ones in hackathons. She is a software engineer and a poet too. She published her first book in sci-fi genre, An Arcade Amigo, in 2020, and her second book, Echoes of My Heart, in 2022. They're available in Amazon. Ramya is now going to share her insights on achieving work-life balance and what she learned from her internships and projects she worked on. Welcome, Ramya. It's so nice to see you here. Without any further delay, I hand over the session to you. Over to you, Ramya.
Thank you, Lasya. That's a very sweet introduction for me. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Let me share my screen first. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Ramya, we can.
Hello,
Yes, we can.
you can see my screen. So, if I wanted to introduce about myself, yeah, thank you. I'm Ramya Gumadavelli. I'm currently working as an SDE1 at Amadeus Labs. I started there as an intern. So I started with working with mobile team which develops mobile apps. And I started there as an intern when I took the project of integrating Google Assistant app actions with the existing apps of our customers. So by which you can just use your voice to book airline tickets, or you can check into your apps, or you can know about your trip details. This is something I worked during internship. After that, I joined there as a full-time employee, right? And I worked on multiple teams since then. And right now, I'm working in a team which develops progressive web apps. So basically, this helps you to use just one code base to build both web, Android, and iOS apps. So this is something currently I'm working on. And apart from this, I'm also a writer. I have published 2 books till now, and if anyone is interested, you can go on to platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, and you can find them there. So coming to today's topic, how to get a software developer role. To be honest, I don't really have a great expertise in telling you how to get one, but I do have an ample amount of experience to share with you. So I've given interviews for companies like Google, Amazon, uh, PayPal, Goldman Sachs, and I've got couple of offers and also got a lot of rejections, which helped me, to take a step back and understand and analyze how things went wrong and how things went right. What are the things that I have to get better at? These all things I've analyzed, after giving a lot of interviews. So today I just want to talk about all the things that I have learned in past 2 years in my experience of finding a software developer role. So if I typically want to tell you how this session goes, I'll start off with how a typical SDE role looks like. Then after that, I'll tell you how to build a good resume for applying to different companies, and then how to acquire the skills or acquire those ingredients that you have to put in your resume, and also how to prepare for the interview. That then what you have to do in the post interview or pre interview, and what you have to do in the interview, and things that help me in all this process. So let's get started. So how does a typical SDE1 role looks like? It's like it's a very entry level role. So whenever a fresher or someone with 0 to 2 year experience applies for a company, they generally come under SDE1. So it's like all the people in your company who have joined in like 1 or 2 years experience, they come as an SDE1. And whatever happens, like if you are working on front end, if you are working on back end, or if you are developing some mobile apps or anything, you all come under as SDE1. So this is something I didn't understand when when I was applying for jobs, I was thinking like I was applying to all the software development roles. But the thing is, there are a lot of different types of SDE roles and lot of different SDE roles that are there in the company. Suppose if you take example of my company, my roommate and I work in the same company and both of us come under SDE1, but I work on front end and she works on the back end. So it's very important in the early stage that you understand what kind of role you are looking for and what you are applying for. So if you have some vision or something that you have to work on this particular role, it will be very helpful to you. Like if you think that a front end is something that's more appealing to you and I want to work in the front end domain, it will be, if you define that in the early stage of your job hunt, it will be, you can align all your skills, experiences, internships, everything just towards that role. So it increases your chances of selection. So this is something which I didn't figure out at the beginning, but I understood on the long run. So everyone, like the front end, back end, or SQ, if you are developing some you are Python developer, a Java developer, everyone comes under SDE1. So it's very important that you look under the job description of what the company wants and what you are looking for. So basically, suppose in on-campus drives, when it happens, the job description is very small, like it doesn't really specify what they are expecting from you. But if suppose you are applying on off-campus role, if you are applying through some career portals or LinkedIn, you can understand that the job description says a lot. It's a very long thing and a lot of us, just ignore that, but it's very important you go through all the job description, because it typically contains what they are expecting from this role and what are the skills that you are required to have, and what are the important things that you do in your daily life. This all describes everything. So whenever you are looking into or applying for a job role, or when you fix that you have to work in this particular domain, make sure that you read some of the job description to understand what are the important skills that the industry is looking for. So this helps you a lot, to build all your skills, all your projects, experiences just around that job. And it's very important in the early stage to understand what kind of company you are looking for also. So do you want to start with working in a startup, or you want to start with working in an established company, or or you just want to work in a company that is service based or product based? So if you have a little bit clear understanding in the beginning, it will make your job easier. So this is something that I really emphasizes on: define what kind of job or what kind of company you want at the beginning. Suppose if you are not sure about one thing, like if you are not sure that you wanted to work in the front end, or you're not sure that you wanted to work in mobile development, you can have multiple roles. Like maybe these things are something that sounds interesting to me, but this is something I don't want to work on. So don't just apply for that roles, because if you do so, a lot of times there are higher chances that you get rejected than your selection. So this is something that's very important, that you define your job and your company in the beginning of your career. So once you have defined, once you have fixed that I wanted to work in a particular role, then what the next point could be: having a good resume. For me, I think a recipe for a good resume is these three ingredients, that are skills, projects, and experience. I think these three are very important when you are looking for, when you are applying for any company, for any particular role. This, your resume speaks so much, and these are the three main points that anybody or any company will look in a resume. So in order to acquire the experience that is required, you have to have internship experience, and our college also offers teaching assistants, so you can take part in that. And also there are and many other platforms where you can work on some freelance project. You can do that. All this counts as an experience. So it's very important you have like one or two experiences in your resume even before you apply for a company. And internships can be anything, like you, it can be an online internship, offline internship, or it can be for the duration of 2 months or 6 months. That doesn't matter. Having an internship experience is what it matters, because when you have that experience, when company is looking for certain role, they'll have an already assurance that okay, this person already worked in a corporate environment, so this person has an added advantage than any other person who doesn't have an internship experience. So it's make sure that you include these things in your resume. And next one is your projects. It's very important that you build end to end projects. So if you have worked on a project and it has only the back end part, like you have done some code, some development, but it doesn't have an UI. So when the person comes, when the other person or the interviewer, if he's not really a technical person, or if he is not really into, the domain that you worked in your project, so it will be very difficult for them to understand the whole code. It may be very great project, but it is very difficult for them to understand. But if you have some UI to it, and you can just demo them the project, it will be very easier for them to understand. And they also have a knowledge that you are a person who worked on end to end projects. So it's very important that you work on them. And it can be varies from, like, you can include from 2 to 4 projects in your resume, and make sure that they are done by you, not just, you don't just copy paste something from the internet, and they are your own ideas. Because when you work on your own ideas, it's very important that you'll have a whole knowledge about the project, and you'll also have an understanding that this is something I have done, this is some feature I have developed. You can take inspiration from the internet, like you can take on some project that looked very nice to you, but make sure that you add at least one extra feature to it, add something new to it, so that this project looks something that you have done. And this helps, this helps the interviewer to understand that you are someone who is a problem solver. So it impresses the interviewer a lot. And I think for me personally, I feel hackathons are the best places to develop the projects. Because when you are in a hackathon, you will be brainstorming so many different ideas, and you like certain idea, you'll work on it, you'll have a team where you are working with it, and you can see the end result coming there. And you might not finish your whole project there, but if you start something from there and adapt it and do it later in your life, that's very important that you work on your own ideas. And hackathons, I feel, are the personally best place there. And when it comes to skills, you should have all the basic knowledge of CS concepts. So may it be computer networks, operating systems, DBMS, all these things are very important that to be included in your skills. So when you get to this last rounds of the interview, like typically the first 2 rounds could be morely of oriented towards coding, but when you enter into the last rounds of the interview, the most of them ask about this technical concepts in your college, so that they'll test your technical theoretical skills mostly. So aptitude, I think the training that is given by our placement cell, or the training that is given in our college, is very ample amount to understand, or to crack the aptitude rounds. Basically, typically the first 2 written tests could be aptitude rounds. And DSA is one most important skill anyone who's applying for an SDE role needs to have. So if you are good at DSA, then your chances of selection are very high. Because any role, any company you apply for, suppose if you are applying for Amazon or Google or any such companies, the first 2 to 3 rounds, at least 3 rounds, will be purely coding, purely live coding. They'll just ask you to join, and in the interview they'll give you a question, and you have to answer. So mostly the interview goes in this platform only, like it's like always, you'll have 1 or 2 coding questions, and you have to answer them. So if you are good at coding, and if you are good at competitive coding, data structures and algorithms, then there are higher chances that you'll crack the first 2 to 3 rounds easily. So cloud basics is something we felt after joining the companies. We all felt like if you have the basics of clouds, it would be really helpful. Because it need not to be the in-depth knowledge of it, but just some basics knowledge of what is a cloud, and how do typically companies use cloud. These things are very important to have. And the one other most important skills you have is the role specific skills. So suppose you have defined yourself in the first place that you wanted to be a mobile developer. So if you are developing mobile apps, then the most important skill you need to have is Android. Or if you're working on Apple platform, you need to have iOS knowledge. So it's very important that if you define yourself with certain role, then it's very important you get that skills in your resume. So you have to put that skills in your resume, you have to have a project related to that, and you have to have an internship related to that. So if you have all these things which is aligned towards the role that you are looking for, your chances of selections will be very higher when compared to when you have projects in certain domain. If you have skills in another domain, and if you have experience in entirely different domain, it will be very confusing and difficult for the interviewer to understand whether this person can work in this domain or not. So now we have established what what is the recipe for a good resume, like what are the skills that are needed for a, or what are the ingredients that are needed for a good resume. So when you have your resume ready, you have to have, how do you acquire all these things that are there, that are to be included in your resume. So in order to understand how you can acquire this, so first is skills. How do you acquire all the skills? So the most important skill is DSA. So you can use all the platforms like Lead Code, HackerRank, HackerRare, CodeChef. All these platforms can be used, to improve your coding skills. But one thing I found personally very useful is the SDE sheets, because whenever you go to a platform like Geeks for Geeks or Lead Code, there are lot of questions, like hundreds of questions are present. So if you start, I'll start with linked list, and if you start solving a problem in that, and suddenly you'll get into that loophole, you'll solve hundreds of questions in linked list, and you'll end up not doing anything in another domains. So suppose if I'm very good at linked list, but if the interviewer asked me a question, in graphs, so how will I answer? Because I do not have a ample amount of practice in it. So it will be very difficult for me to crack that interview even after doing and putting lot of efforts in it. So understand that when you are practicing DSA, you make sure that you are covering all the topics, like you cover linked list, you cover trees, graphs, and you are solving at least few questions in every topic, such that you will have a understanding and knowledge that okay, if someone asks me question from graphs, at least I have some base to work on, at least I'll have some foundation to work on. So this is very important that you practice SDE sheets, which I personally thought. And core CS concepts, when it comes to concepts like operating system, DBMS, or computer networks, you should have a good knowledge in them. And your class notes will be more than enough for it. But if you did not write your class notes, you can grab it from any of your friends who have written it, or you can go to your platforms like Geeks for Geeks, Java, T Point, and read the core concepts. And once you are done reading it, if you don't have a class notes before, then it's better that you make a short notes, so that every time before an interview, you'll be giving a lot of interviews. So every time before the interview, you can prepare all the notes in a very short time. Otherwise, what happens is, if you don't have anything in beforehand, so when you go to a site, you start reading, it will take a lot of time and you will not cover all of them. So this is something that happens. So it's very important that you have your class notes, and if you don't have that, make some notes so that you can look into it before the interview. And for cloud basic, you can take up any online course, not very in-depth one, something which makes you understand what is a cloud, how a company uses it, something like that. You can take any online course on Udemy, or you can take it on Coursera. So take that course and have basic understanding of it. So this could be your unique selling point also, because nowadays when I read a lot of companies job description, they says that they need understanding of Azure, they need understanding of a lot of cloud things. So if you have some basic knowledge in it, you will be more, your chances of selection will be more. And the role specific skills could be like, if you are looking for a specific role in front end, you have to have a knowledge of Angular, HTML, CSS. This is very important. And if you are looking for some back end role, some kind of Java developer, so it's very important that you acquire all the important knowledge in that particular domain. So what generally happens is, when if you are applied for a specific role, like if you applied for an SDE role, but the team that has put to the description, or that is hiring, wants a person who is very good at front end. So then when you are coming to the last rounds of the interview, they'll generally ask you more related towards the role, like they'll ask you more questions in front end when you are entering into the last round. So it's very important you have an ample amount of knowledge in this, so that your chances of selection will be more. And building an end-to-end projects, like I said, it's very important you work on your own ideas and build an end-to-end project towards it, such that tomorrow if you don't like your job also, you can just quit, start your own company, because it's your own idea. So this is also an added advantage of working on your own ideas. And like I said, I developed my projects mostly in hackathons. So, and if you win it, or if you make like into top 3 or top 5, you can add it in your achievements as well. So which makes them think that these persons are somebody who are a good problem solver, who goes out of their way and works on their own ideas, takes responsibilities, and already have this team building culture, so that that's why they took part in a hackathon as a team and built something that is end to end. And the projects, you can can host, if you have a project that has a website or mobile, if you have built a mobile app, try to have it on a device or host it on some platform so that you can show them as a demo. And you can have all your code, everything in GitHub, and add that link to your LinkedIn profiles, or have the links in your hand so that whenever they ask for demo, or whenever they ask show this project, you can explain them and show them. And when building your projects, if you are having if you are building a group project, if there are 3 or 4 people who are working on the project, still you should have the knowledge of your complete project. Suppose you might have worked only on the front end part of your project and someone else worked on the back end, but try to get in contact with that friend and understand what they have done. Maybe even if you don't have the complete knowledge also, at least you should have an idea that what other person, other team members have did in that project. So this helps you gain confidence, and whenever the interviewer asks you any question, you can answer them correctly. So when it comes to experience, it's very important you do an internship. There are a lot of companies that offers like 1 or 2 months internship. You utilize your semester breaks and try to do 1 or 2 internship. In my experience, I have done Android development internship in my after my second year or something, and that in my resume what sounded so better that I was hired into the same team. So if you have already some experience in that, then you are already directing the recruiter to hire you for something that you like. Because when you get into the company or when you start doing your job, like 70 to 80% of your day goes into your job, and if you are not doing something that you like, it will be very difficult for to sustain for the longer run. So it's very important you align all these 3 things: the skills, projects, and experiences, just towards the role you want. So if you have everything aligned, your chances of selection will be increases, your chances of working in the team that you like will be increases. So it will automatically make you happy, because at the end you get the job that you actually want. And teaching assistants and freelance projects, you can add this as your experiences also. So now that we have acquired whatever that is required that we need to put in your resume, and we have acquired all the things, so now we should start applying for the companies. And there's a lot of people have seen who said to me that I don't want to apply to the company right now, I should prepare first, I should enhance my skills first, then only I'll apply. But in my personal opinion, it's not correct that you apply and wait and apply until you are ready, because you'll be never ready. You'll never have all the skills that is required for a role, you will never have all the experience that is required for a role. You should just start applying at the very right moment, and you can get some interviews. Maybe the worst thing that happens is you can get rejected, but when you get rejected, you'll understand what you're good at and what you're wrong at. So then you can work on them again. So it's very important that you apply for the interviews from the beginning only. So on campus interviews you can get from you apply and get the interview, you know the process. But when it comes to off campus interviews, how do you get an interview is like, go to LinkedIn, search for the recruiters at certain company, maybe recruiter at Google or recruiter at Amazon. You'll get a lot of people in it. Connect with them, and while connecting, there is an option to send a message, additional message. Tell them that you are so and so student, you have finished this your bachelor's degree, you have done this, and you have skills and experience related to something, and you are looking for a job opportunity. So when you connect with them like this, there are higher chances that they will accept your request, and they'll respond to you. And most of the time, and don't ever hesitate to ask for a job. Don't ever hesitate, or don't ever think like, what happens if I send the message, what if they don't reply or respond. Like most of the time, like out of 190 times they won't respond. But even if the 10 people respond, you'll get at least 4 or 5 interviews, which is very good thing. And so whenever you are writing to your recruiter, attach your resume as well. Tell them that this is for your reference. So whenever they are hiring, whenever the business requirement comes in the company, and when they are hiring for a particular role, they will reach out to you, they will ask you like, we have this opening, and can you apply for it. So this is something that happens. So make sure that you connect and send out your resume to the recruiters. And don't ever feel embarrassed or something like that. You should do this. You should ask for the job. That is the basic thing you can do. This is something I also followed. And the major platforms could be LinkedIn, and Telegram is also very useful. So if you join certain groups in Telegram, they'll give you daily updates of what are the drives, ongoing drives that are happening for freshers. And they'll put on lot of Google forms where you you can fill it out and apply for jobs. And you also get to connect with people who are giving interview for the same company, so that you can prepare for it. And Naukri is something that I didn't try personally, but there are a lot of people who told me that Naukri also has a lot of opportunities there. So these are platforms where you can look for off campus drives. And one more thing you could do is you can reach out to the people who work on similar roles. So since you have defined a role, you can understand that if you are uh, aspiring to become a mobile app developer, you can connect with people in different companies who work on the same role and ask if their team is hiring. So if suppose the team is hiring, are you able to give me a referral? So if you have referral, your chances of selection will is already high when it comes to when you don't have a referral. So you can reach out to the people like that. And if suppose they are not if the team is not hiring or something like that, you can ask them like, what does your work expect, or what does your company expect to a person who's applying for this role should have. So then you'll have a list of things that you should have before applying to that company, so you can work on them. So it's very important that you have a network or talk to people who work on similar roles who are already in the industry, so that you can understand what is the gap between you have and the industry. And you can directly apply on the career site. So one thing you can do is you just go to career sites of companies and apply directly there. And this helps have your resume in their database, so next time when they are hiring for freshers, or when they are hiring for come when they're hiring for roles that suits you more, they'll automatically reach out to you. They'll automatically send a message or mail to you saying that we are looking for this role and you seems like a good fit, so do you want to apply or do you want to give an interview? So this is something you could do. You can just go back and write down a list of companies that you wanted to apply for, and just go to their career sites and apply them. Sometimes you don't get the roles that you are looking for, or sometimes you don't really have they are not really hiring freshers or SDE ones, then also you try to apply for something so that your resume gets into their database. And there are some options in some company sites, like Apple has this option where you can just upload your resume, so that sometimes when your resume suits with the role that they are looking for, they'll reach out to you. So, and one more important thing is always keep your LinkedIn profile updated. So, whatever projects you have done, whatever experience you have, whatever skills you have, try to keep everything on your LinkedIn profile and keep it updated. And there is an option to say that you are looking for certain roles. So, add it to add the things there. And also, if you are hosting, or if you have your project on some website or it has on GitHub, try to add that links. If you have certain achievements, like you have won a scholarship or if you have won a hackathon, try to add that achievements and take this LinkedIn assessments that are there. So this helps when recruiters are searching for people, like if they're searching for developers, people who have completed this LinkedIn assessment successfully, these people show up to their screen more than people who didn't take that test. So if your role has certain test on the LinkedIn assessments, try to take it and keep it updated in your profile, so that whenever a recruiter sees it, they reach out to you. This happened with me also. Like one time the recruiter from Google contacted me saying that I've seen your profile and it seems like a fit for the role that we are looking for, so can you give the interview? So this happens. So it's very important that you keep your LinkedIn profile updated always. If you have learned something new skill or certification, try to put it on the LinkedIn, so that the people or the recruiters know that you are aligned more towards the role they are offering. And now that you have got, assume that you have got 2 to 3 interviews in your hand. So now how do you prepare for them? So typically what happens is that you will have 1 or 2 days before you are in. Sometimes they are very quick, like you just have 1 or 2 days. So if you have that less time, all you can do is revise the things that you already know. You can't learn something new in just 1 or 2 days. Even if you learn, you want to be confident enough. And if you are doing something new and if you are keeping things that you already know at the back, and if you haven't revised it, you will not be confident in that too. So it's very important that you revise all the things that are already known to you if you have very less time. But typically some companies offer you like 2 to 3 weeks before an interview. If you have that time, try to practice this SDE sheets. They have a very curated list of all the topics. Like they have certain 5 to 10 frequently asked questions from all the top companies in linked list, and then you have same set of same set of 5 to 6 questions in trees, and then dynamic programming graphs, so that you'll understand, you'll cover all the topics and you'll understand how to solve a problem. So this is very important that you practice them. And one more thing is, whenever you get an interview, read the interview experience of other people's. Like if you go to Geeks for Geeks and type, if you type out SDE1 role, how was the interview for a lot of people, you'll get what was their experience, like how many rounds are there. You'll have an understanding of how many rounds are there and what they are generally asking in the rounds. So if you're going for the first round, what they are asking, so first round is mostly basically coding, so they're not asking any technical questions, personal questions, nothing. They're just asking two coding questions in the first two rounds. If you understand that this is happening, then you can focus more on that only rather than focusing on everything. So it helps you understand what you can prepare for the interview at the moment. So it's very important you read the interview experience of different people. And if you can see, certain companies mostly focus on concepts rather than coding. So if it is certain interview like that, you should not be under the assumption that every company asks coding. So now that now that you read the experience, you can focus more on the concepts rather than coding. So this is something that's very important. And you have to practice the previously asked questions there. You can see in the interview experience only, you'll have previously asked questions. So when you practice them, what happens most of the time, most of the companies, even though if they don't directly repeat the questions, there are certain cases that you'll be asked the similar concepts. This happened with me when I gave interview for certain company. They asked me a question and the same question was repeated in some other company also. So this can happen. And the one time when I read the interview experience, I understood that they are focusing more on dynamic programming, so I practiced more of it, and it turns out that they did. And I was able to answer it better than before. And one more important thing is practice thinking out loud. This is not just related to just interview, but also in your day to day life. When you join as a developer in a team, it's very important that you practice thinking out loud. That is, suppose if you have done a work, like, so if for example, I have, for a whole day I just worked on a build failure. So the one build is failing and I'm worked whole day on it. And next day when I come to the meeting, and if I say that I just worked on a build failure, it doesn't seem like you have put lot of effort to it. It's very important that how you reached to that solution, how did you make the build succeed, like how did you tackle that problem. I have to make them walk through all the process, because so they'll understand that I have put lot of efforts. If I tell them, like, I talked with this couple of people, they told me a solution, then I tried it out and it did not work. So then on the next hour I tried another solution that worked out. That's how I fixed. Then they'll understand these are the efforts that you put, and this is the whole process that you have taken to tackle that problem. This helped them understand that you are a problem solver, and you focus on taking a step by step process to come into the solution. So the same applies for the interview also. Suppose if they have given you a coding question, it's very important that don't think everything in your head only. You have to tell the interviewer that this is something I'm thinking. So this there's an another advantage to it, because if you say that you are thinking something, if you are going in a wrong way, then the interviewer will tell you that, okay, you are thinking like this, but think in other terms. Then you will get more closer to the solution. So this is something that happens when you practice thinking out loud. So if you sit down and solve 5 questions per day, then it's very important you practice thinking out loud on one or two questions, and explain to yourself how you are doing it. And practice with time limits. This is something that happened to me in early stage. I used to solve problems, but I didn't really keep a time limit to it. So maybe I could, when I went to an interview, then I was solving the problem, but I'm taking longer time than the given time. So if a question I'm solving in 45 minutes, but the interview has only 30 minutes, then I'll eventually fail in the interview, because I'm not able to solve in the given time limit. So it's very important when you are practicing, practice with the time limits. Practice with doing an easy problem in 20 minutes, or if you're solving a medium problem, you should able to tackle it in 40-45 minutes. And if you're doing working on a very hard problem, keep an hour for it. So understand how much time you are taking to solve a particular problem. It's very important. and revise all the CS concepts, revise all the fundamental concepts that are there. And mostly in my experience, when I went to interviews, people are like, they generally ask what is your favorite topic. So if you say that operating systems is your favorite topic, they'll try to ask the questions in that domain only. So if you have all the basic understanding of all the CS concepts, try to learn more in one or two topics, so that whenever interviewer asks, you can say that you're confident in this one, and you can answer all the questions in that domain. And other thing is like, have a complete knowledge of your project and internship experience. This is something most of the time people ask. So this also helps, redirect interview to in favor of you. So if you have good projects and good interesting internships and project experience, then mostly interviewer tend to ask you about that. So if your project is something very innovative and it's your own idea, you worked on it, then interviewer will like, let me ask them questions related to the project. And when they are asking, if you don't answer something that is related to your own project, it will be very difficult. So try to have a complete knowledge of it. Even if your friend developed it, like two to three people together developed it, try to understand everything that's happening in your project, and try to have a story around it, saying that this is the problem that we tried to solve, this is the issue we faced, and we thought we can do something with the technologies that we know, and this is how we solved it. So it will be very helpful, and it will be very engaging for the interviewer also, if you have a story for your project and internship. In internship experience also, a lot of time you get this kind of question, not just technical questions. They can ask you questions about, like, how did you adapt to the change in the new teams, how did you adapt to the change from college to corporate, how did you get along with the team, how was your team experiences. Such things could also be asked, like if you have faced any issue while developing the project in your internship, how did you tackle it? Or is there any teammate with you, and did you face any issues with them? These are also some questions that could come for your internship experience. So try to have an idea of what you want to answer, so that you can answer quicker in the interview. And learn about the role specific concepts also. So any role you are applying for, try to, when you read in the job description, and get an understanding of what is required to them, and when you understand what are the important skills, try to learn all the concepts related to that, and research about company, and try giving examples that are related to that company. Suppose if I'm giving an interview for my company, Amadeus Labs, then they work on travel technology. So I'll try to give an example that is related to travel. Suppose if they ask me some question, and if I give something that is related to booking, or booking a flight ticket, or something related to airlines, it will appeal more to them. It will be like, okay, this person is already interested in our company, is already thinking in terms of solving problems for our company. So it impresses the interview that you are very interested. And have some follow up questions. So it will be like, you can ask them about, like, how is their day to day role, what are their responsibilities in the role, or you can ask about the companies, the work culture in the company, or have some follow up questions beforehand, so that you can ask at the end of your interview. This is something, how do you prepare for an interview. So now the preparation is done. So now we have done everything, we have learned everything. So what do you do in an interview? So generally, when you are in an interview, like I said, you practice thinking out loud. So talk so much. Don't try to be silent in the interview. Don't you be thinking everything in your head and not saying anything out, will be doesn't look good to the interviewer. So when you have certain concepts or certain idea in your head, try to talk it out to the interviewer, so that you can solve problem together. So this is one thing that's very important. And don't try in a coding interview, don't try to jump to the optimized solution for the first low. You can start with the brute force solution, no matter what the time complexity is, even it goes to big off and before or nothing, it doesn't matter. But try to start with the brute force solution, and try to build from there, try to build the optimized solution from there. Don't just directly jump into optimized solution at first. And answer even if you're not sure. Sometimes you don't even know the understand the question, you don't even know the question, but you're thinking that, okay, if you don't know the question, if you don't understand the question, ask them and clarify it. But if you are you if you they gave asked you about certain definition, but you are thinking this could be the answer, then try telling them that I'm not really sure, but this could be the answer. So this makes you, understand that at least you are putting some efforts and thinking what the answer could be. And try to be very clear and confident. This is very important even after you get a job. When you are communicating in your daily to day to day meetings, it's very important that you are very clear and very confident about things you are saying. If you are saying this task cannot be completed in 2 days, you should inform them that this is not going to be done in 2 days. And in the same way, when you are answering in the interview, it's very important you are clear and confident, so that they can match, okay, this person, if he joins my team, then this person is able to communicate things very clearly, so it will be very helpful to us. So this is something interviewers look for when they're asking you a question. And have the story for your project. So it's very important that when they ask you about your project, don't just say that I built an app, it's doing this thing, that's all. It's not something like that. And you just say I use this language, it doesn't look good to the interviewer. But if you have your story around your project, saying that we faced this issue at certain time, we thought, okay, let's solve this, and we gathered as a group, and then one of us worked on this, one of us worked on that, and that's how we finished the project, and that's how it helped us. If you have a story around it, then it will be very appealing to the interviewer also. And don't ever hesitate to ask questions. So if they give you coding questions, most of them they wantedly give unclear questions, like they don't tell you what kind of input they are input parameters they are giving, and they don't tell you what is the output they are expecting, what data type it could be. So it's very important you ask and clarify your questions and clarify your doubts regarding that question. So don't hesitate to ask the questions, ask them and get clarity, and then proceed on working towards it. So post interview, like after you have given interview and before the results, it's very important that you write down what went right and what went wrong. So there are a lot of times when you get the result, you will be like, if you get it, you are like, I have done everything well, that's why I got it. And if something goes wrong also, you'll be like, I didn't might not have done anything well, so that's why I failed. So before the result, irrespective of the results, try writing down what went right and what went wrong. So when you write down, you'll understand that, okay, these are things I'm already good at. So next time when you prepare for an interview, you'll be like, okay, this is already something I'm good at, I can concentrate less on this and focus more on something that went wrong. So this will help you to build your skills and perform better in the next interviews. So very important thing is to write down what went wrong and what went right just after the interview, before the result, and try to list down all the questions that were asked. Because if you try to do it after a day or after a few hours, you might not remember every question. So list down all the questions, see what you have answered correctly and what you haven't answered correctly, and try to get the answers for things that you went wrong, and try to practice them, so that next time when it comes an interview, you won't have a regret that, oh, I already know this question but I don't know the answer. So in order to you know leave that feeling, it's very important that you list down the questions and solve them even after the interview. And remember, it's not always you, like if you can be rejected for a lot of other reasons also. Sometimes the business requirements has different demands, or the company has different demands, but your skills or your experience is not aligned towards it. So there are a lot of different reasons you can get rejected. Don't always assume that it's you because you are not doing great, you got rejected. There are a lot of times you perform very well in interview and still get rejected, only because that company is looking for something else. So that's the thing. So you should always remember that you are not only the problem. Sometimes company can also be the reason that you got rejected. So after this, I wanted to talk about the things that really helped me in last 2 years. Like what are the things that helped me, to get through this phase of interviews. You will face lot of rejections. You will have lot of failed interviews. You'll have some offers, but those offers won't be something that you wanted to work on. So still you have to let that go. So all these principles helped me a lot. So don't ever settle. If you get one job, don't settle there. Or if you don't get a job also, don't settle in that phase. Try learning new things, try in a different way. If you are following certain path, change that path and do in some other way, and try to do things, but don't ever settle in the place that you are. You can always try for something better. And figuring out is the fun part. Don't ever think that I started as thinking and aspiring that I will be a mobile developer, but I ended up being something else. So all this time went into waste. Like if I would have known that I will become this in the first place, it would be easier for me. Don't ever think or don't ever feel guilty about figuring out. Figuring out is the fun part. If you try to figure out what you want to become, or if you at least figured out this is something that you don't want to become, you're already more aligned towards your goal, or you are already going towards your goal. And you are never too late. Like you are never late, even if you are from non-CS background, and if you are coming from EC or mech and you tried jobs in your own domain but you didn't get them, and now you want to try out SDE, but still you can do it. You are never late. Like don't ever assume that okay, my friends already got jobs, I'm already late, how can I get it? Don't ever disappoint or disheartened by that. You can always start now. You can start even today, and still, within 2 to 3 months you can build your skills, you can build your resume and apply and get interviews and get selected. You are never late. And ask for help. It may be from your friends or seniors or people on LinkedIn or anybody. Don't ever hesitate to ask for help. You should ask for help. You should ask for your jobs. You should ask them, get clarity, clarify on your doubts. So it's very important you ask for help to different peoples. Like if you are feeling low about not getting something, talk to your friends. Ask them that what I could have done better to get that role, what I could have done better, to crack that interview. What do you feel? Ask them for help. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are ready to help. And one thing, if I want to leave you this session with one word, that is just believe in yourself. No matter which phase of your life you are, you already got a job or you did not get a job, or you're still figuring out what you want to do in your life, or anything in any phase you are in, just believe in yourself. Believe that you'll get to that phase soon. So just do that. And thank you so much for this, giving me this opportunity, to share my experiences with you guys. And I also thank you SRMAP for giving me all the experiences, and I'm forever grateful and indebted to the university. It helped me, to grow a lot personally and professionally as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ramya. It was really inspiring and it was so good to have you on the session. So now let's move on to the Q&A session. So here we have a first question from Lohit. So is DSA in C++ versus DSA in Java, which is better?
I think language is not something that acts as a barrier. To be honest, I have done DSA mostly in Python, not in CS, not in C++ or not in Java. So you should be expertise in one thing. Like whenever they ask a question, you should try to solve in one thing, like a CS, C++, or uh, Java or Python. But you should not be like, I did the same question in C++, I've done the same question in Java, but you don't have any clarity. That's a very difficult place. Just try to focus on one thing, one language, and try to do it.
Okay, so now we have a second question from Sheikh Kulsum Banu. How can we build a resume from first year?
So if you are in first year and if you are thinking of building a better resume, I think participating in hackathons or participating in conferences is something that's really important. So when you participate in a hackathon, you will have a project with you, and you will also have an additional achievement if you win it. Otherwise, you'll have an experience, and there are a lot of people, lot of sponsors who come to hackathons. You can just go and reach out to them and ask for internship, by which you can get the experiences also. So in order to build a resume from scratch, like from first year, it's very important that you take part in hackathons, and it's very important that you start doing DSA from the beginning, so that you'll when you come till the end of second, third year and fourth year, you'll have the required skills for it.
Okay, so we have our next question from Suya. What is the role competitive programming in selecting for STE? Is that matters a lot?
I didn't understand what is the role competitive program. So this is something that really matters. It's the harsh truth that you use very less competitive programming in your day-to-day activities in your job. To be honest, I just used sorting in my whole 1 or 2 years of experience. But it is very important in an interview that you know competitive coding, because any company you give, like I've given for Google, Amazon, or PayPal or Goldman Sachs, any company, around like 3 to 4 rounds at purely coding. They just ask you, they don't even sometimes ask you, tell me about yourself. They just ask you one or two coding questions, and they'll be like, you have to solve them. Only if you solve them, you'll get to the next round. So it's very important that you need competitive programming to get into SDE.
And next we have another question. Any advice for first year students?
Any advice for have fun in college at the same time, try to build friendships and try to, have that group of people along with you, have similar ideas and, similar mindset, so that they help you grow in life. Even I'm still in contact with all my friends from college, and they also, when you are a group, you tend to, get motivated to do things. So you'll have that also helps you in your technical skills. You guys can get together, do projects, and participate in different events, take part in a lot of different things, and you'll have a lot of fun doing with friends also. So try to, get those people who have similar mindsets, and, those friends who can help you grow. And that also helps you. Try practicing DSA from the beginning. Right now you might be in a stage where you are learning a language, so once you are good at it, try to, solve problems on daily basis. So this helps you, in longer run.
And we have another question from Surya. Is language matters for SDE role? If so, Java or C++ or Python?
To be honest, if you're in the interview, it doesn't matter which language you are using. So most of the time, it's important that you solve a problem, and any particular language doesn't have any added advantage. But if you are someone who is applying specifically for Java developer role, or if you are applying for a Python developer role, then it is very important that you have great expertise in that one particular language.
Next, we have another question from Srija. Important subjects for CSE students for interviews.
Computer networks is something that's very important, because most of the time they ask you questions about these protocols and everything. And rather than computer networks, the other could be, DBMS, SQL. All these are very important. These are also most of the times they ask you questions in that. Other than that, have and OOPS also very important. And other than it, try to, have a good language, good command in one topic very well, because most of the time, like I told you, they'll ask you which one is something that is you are more interested in. Generally interviewer ask you that question, and if you say some topic, you should be able to answer questions in that topic. So, try to have a very good knowledge in one and basic knowledge in all of them.
Thank you, Ramya. I would request all the audience to drop the questions in the chat box. Next, we have another question from Sarat Chandam. For doing an internship in a domain, is it necessary to have an idea on all the concepts in that domain?
To be honest, I'll say it's not really for an internship. It's not required. There are certain friends who of mine who are right now searching for jobs. They just, they went to a conference and they just asked, a guy who's a founder of a startup, that I just need an internship. I wanted to learn something. Then they just offered. So for intern, they don't expect you to know a lot of things. For example, in my intern experience, I just know about Android apps, and I have used Java to build them. But when I went to the company, there they use Kotlin to build the Android apps. So, and I was working on Google Assistant integration, which is entirely different. Nobody in the company knows it, or nor I know it. So you don't really have to have skills in something that you are working on. This happens when you join as a full-time employee also. If you're joining in a product-based company, most of your time goes into understanding the product rather than the technology. Most of the time goes into, learning the terms and everything in the product, rather than actually having a knowledge of, your day to day coding. So it's not necessary that you have experience for applying to an internship.
And we have another question. Have trouble learning C. So, any recommendations?
I didn't understand. Yeah, what? Have trouble in learning C? Any recommendations? uh, for us, I think Python was our first language. And what did we do while learning Python was we sat down, we write. If there is a loop or something, we used to, have whatever whatever the eye prints, we used to write down everything on a paper, and try to understand how a loop works and how a variable works, and we try to experiment with that. So I think if you want to learn any language, the best thing you can do is try to solve, small codes in them, like just prime numbers, or if you want to do some even odd or something, just try to practice them again and again and again, so that you'll understand and have a clarity of how things are working in that language. Once you get understanding of that, it will be easier to understand the bigger codes. So it's very important that you sit down and write everything that is happening in the code to understand the language.
And our next question is, do speed in coding and answering interview questions matter?
Speed in coding, I would say it's not like you have to solve a question in 5 or 10 minutes, but it does matter. Like if you have an if your interviewer is thinking of expecting you to solve two questions in 1 hour, and if you are not able to solve them, the chances of your selections would be decreased. So it's important that you solve questions in certain amount of time, but it's not really important that you have to solve it in like 15 or 20 minutes. You can take your time, but not more than like 45 minutes or something.
So do any one of you have any more questions? You can please feel free and drop them in the chat box. Ramya is here to answer all your queries.
And if you have any questions even after the session, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or Instagram or WhatsApp, any place. I'm happy to help you guys, and I'll answer as much as I can. Don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. I'm just a text away.
Ramya, can you please drop your LinkedIn profile in the chat box?
Yeah, sure, sure. I'll get them. Yeah, I have dropped it, but it's just for host and panelist, I guess. You can share it to others as well.
Ramya, you can once try changing the drop down to everyone and then send your profile again.
Yeah, sure. It's just showing host and panelists.
Okay.
Lasya, see if you can do that from your end. Just copy
Yes,
that and see if you can do it from your end.
And it's fine. You can just type in Ramya Gumadaveli. That's all. You'll get it, I guess.
okay. Meanwhile, we have another question. Can we learn from any textbooks or YouTube is better?
Uh, to be honest, textbooks that are there, generally that are recommended by your professors are good. But if you learn it from YouTube, it's easy. Like if you pick up a textbook and try to, go to there, understand, they're very long. But if you are doing it with a YouTube video, it's just like 5 to 10 minutes. You can watch it. You'll have a clear understanding. So I think if you're someone who is more into reading, it's better you do it with the textbook. But if you're into something that if people explain and you can understand, then it's better you do it from YouTube.
So do we have any more questions? Anyone? I've shared Ramya's profile in the chat so everyone can please reach out to her. Do we have any more questions? So we have another question. Any YouTube channel suggestions?
To be honest, I didn't follow YouTube much. I used to, refer only my class notes or something. And for coding, and I used to follow Lead Code, and there is Algo Expert where you have explanations of the answers also. So I didn't really look into one particular YouTube channel, but I think you can just go ahead and type whatever your query is there. You'll get the lot of videos on it.
And let's take a final question. Masters or placements?
Masters or placements, it's completely up to you. Like if you are someone, if you are someone who are looking to study more or have more experience or knowledge in certain things, it's better that you go for masters. But if you are someone who's wanted to come out and have an experience of a job, or and it depends on your family and finances also. Like if you can go to this domain, you can go. For me personally, I wanted to do different things in life, so I understood that masters is not something that is really helpful to me. So it's up to you, like whatever your end goal is, try to take a next step towards your end goal.
So that takes us to the end of our session. Now I would request Shabani ma'am to give her vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
So Ramya, even before I thank you, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Yeah. So even before I thank you, let me tell you how proud I am of you today.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. That's
So
so sweet of you.
all those hard work, the sincerity, the passion, the perseverance, it all paid off. And we don't get Nobel prizes as teachers, right? So it's the students who fetch us the Nobel
That's
by
really
making us proud. So it is such a proud moment. And I'm sure the students who attended this session, they will gain a lot from you. And you've taken your time out and, shared your valuable inputs with all of them. And so on everybody's behalf, I thank you.
Thank you so
And
much.
I wish you all the best in life. And
Thank
may there be
you.
laurels all the way, wherever you
Thank you.
go.
Thank you
So
so
thank
much,
you
ma'am.
very much. Thank you very much. And one more thing, I think I should let the students know that whatever inputs you've got from Ramya, over and above, if you have observed, you may have observed that she's such a good communicator. So communication skills is one thing, which is required even before, you start acquiring your technical skills. Because whatever
That's very
technical skills you acquired, you have to communicate that to the person who's asking you questions. So Rami, I'm so proud of you. So proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you.
Yeah. So all those CDC classes, all those fun, filled activities that we did, I think it paid off.
Yeah, ma'am, it's true, really. Like to be honest, if you ask me to do, there's a lot of things that helped me that I learned in college when I'm working with my team in office.
Yeah.
All the
So
activities we did as a collaboration as team, like all the things that you told us that really helped us.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, and I'm so proud of you, because I was really sitting back and listening to you speak to them. And I think, yeah, I mean, that's it. You've become such an effective communicator, and I'm so proud of you for that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm still learning a lot, but I'm
Yeah.
so happy
So
that I've reached at least certain stage in that.
yeah. So how does life feel out of SRM, Ramya? That's
You
that's the
know,
14th question to you. I didn't end with the 13th question, so I thought of asking you that 14th question.
to be honest, sometimes I just wake up in the morning and feel like, I should have been in college now. It would have been very nice. But still, there is so much that I have learned in past 2 years, that when I came out of college, there are a lot of things. And but there are, when I look around and see people from different places and different colleges, I understand that there are a lot of things that SRM taught us, which puts us ahead of a lot of people around us.
That's true. When you are in one
Mm.
place and for quite some time, you
Mhm.
actually do not realize that, what are the invisible influences that are working on you. So it's only
True.
when you move out of that realm,
Mm.
then you get to realize, you become aware of, those influences. And maybe very
True.
small things, but they make a big
Mhm.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you
True.
very much, Ramya. Thanks, Lasya, for moderating this event in such a beautiful manner. And I'm also proud of your communication skills, Lasya. I
Thank you,
mean,
Lasya.
today my students have really made me so proud. I think you made my evening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Lasya.
Right. Thank you, Divya. And thank you, all the participants who were there. And I'm sure there's something for you to take back. And but that's not all. Implement whatever questions you've asked her, whatever input she had shared with you. Ramya had always been a prize student here. And I'm sure the entire university is proud of her. And, I mean, she'll shine wherever she goes.
Thank you so
So
much.
please take all those inputs and implement that, execute that in your own way. Okay. You cannot be, and what she said is very important. I think she echoed what I said, that be yourself.
Yeah. It's very
Right.
important, like when you get out of your college and join new teams and meet new people, it's very easy that you lose yourself. But if you be yourself and define everything in your own terms, it will be very you will be happy with yourself. At least you will be satisfied with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ramya. Thank you so much. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank
And
you
we
so
really
much.
enjoyed
Thank you.
having all of you on this platform today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and that's all for today. See you soon. See you all. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, ITK.
Yes, big thank you to ITKM, because without them, we couldn't have organized
Yeah.
this program.
Thank you,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah. Please end the session.
Thank you. Thank you.